Welcome to the Buzz on Biz, where we highlight the people and ideas shaping our local business community. Today, we're diving into a powerful conversation with Jason Roton, an executive and life coach with deep roots in both ministry and personal transformation. Jason just doesn't just coach executives or individuals, he coaches humans. His approach transcends job titles and digs into what it really means to grow, lead, and live with purpose. Whether you're running a company or just running on empty, this conversation will leave you with a clearer path forward. Welcome to the Buzz on Biz, Jason.
Well, thanks, Bill. It's good to be here today. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about what I do. Thanks
Looking
for what
forward
you do.
to learning more about you and what you do, Jason.
Awesome.
So, to kick things off, can you tell us a bit about your journey into coaching, from ministry to the work you're doing now?
This was never a journey I predicted for sure. I've spent 22 years in professional ministry with a little 5-year hiatus there where I worked in coffee. So we could probably do another podcast on all the worthless coffee knowledge I know. Today we'll talk about coaching. So November 2023, I had an opportunity to go with the church I was working at to the Dominican Republic. And we were going on an exploratory mission trip. So this was to see the organization, see the work that they did, see that they were who they said they were. And while we were there was another church. So that church sent 2 leaders. We had 2 leaders go from our church. Spent the week together, got to know each other, had a great time. And at the end of that week, one of the leaders from the other church said to me, "Would you have you ever considered being a coach?" And I was like, "I have not. I don't actually even know what you mean when you say a coach." And and then the second question was, "Would you be my coach?" So my answer was, "See, question one. I don't even know what you're asking me to do." But I said, "If you think I have something to offer, here's my contact information. If you're serious, when you get back to the States, send me an email." And so a week later, I heard from this young leader, and we ended up meeting in what I thought was a coaching environment. And so, very much, she would bring a problem, we would kind of talk through it, try to figure out what was going on. I'd offer a little bit of expertise. And what I've learned in my training, I guess back up. So that conversation quickly became the conversation I was most looking forward to every month. I was waiting for that day when we got to meet. I was like, I love these conversations. So in August, when I parted ways with my former church and moved into this, one of the things I looked at was, what kind of training do you have to do to become a coach? I signed up with an organization. I ended up doing 120 classroom hours. I've sat and done 10 mentor coaching sessions, which is when you sit across from somebody doing coaching with a mentor there who's then going to give you immediate feedback on how your coaching went. And I've completed 100 hours of coaching. So as of this week, actually, so it's a big week for me. Yeah, so I'll be able to take my ACC, which is a level 1 certification for International Coaching Federation. I'll take that test this month, and I'll finally be fully certified as a life and executive coach.
Well, that's
What I
interesting
love,
because a lot of us, we have an idea of what we think we want to do or jobs we want to do. But in your case, someone saw something in you and asked you to to move forward in this job that you probably even wasn't even on your radar. That's interesting.
yeah, no, I had, to be quite honest, I had some not super great thoughts about life coaches and executive coaches. I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. But man, I have, over the course of the last 13 months now, I guess, I have fallen in love with this profession. It really hits at some of my core values, which are curiosity, growth mindset, um, uh, really just and engaging with people. I want to see people succeed. I want to see them achieve their goals and their dreams. And so, yeah, so there's a ton that's just super, super exciting. So I'm so thankful for that young leader and what they saw in me, um, and for the track that this has led me down. It's been pretty amazing, pretty amazing.
Wow, that's really interesting, Jason. So how do you differentiate between like life coaching and executive coaching in your practice, or do you?
Yeah. So let me answer that question two ways. One, I think there's probably some people in your audience who are like, okay, what is coaching? Is it counseling? Is it consulting? Like, I think a lot of people think coaches are consultants. So if you can kind of imagine a four quadrant grid, and at the top of that grid is ask questions, and at the bottom of that grid is tell you what to do. And on the left side is start with a problem, and on the right side is start with a solution. So telling you what to do, a consultant is going to come in and they're going to help you find a solution. They're going to be solution based. Sometimes they're problem based. Sometimes you bring a consultant in and you're like, hey, I've got this problem in my business. Tell me what I should do. And that's where a consultant takes off from. A counselor is going to ask questions, but they're going to start problem based. I've had this trauma, I've had this experience, I've had this thing going on. So they're using questions, but they're starting looking at the past or at some kind of problem. A mentor is going to come in and say, okay, where do you want to be? And now I'm going to use my experience to tell you how to get there. A coach comes in and says, okay, what do you want to achieve? What's your goal? What's your dream? And now instead of telling you what I know, I believe you're the subject matter expert in whatever we're talking about because it's your goal, your dream. And I believe that inside of you, you have everything you need to achieve that. My goal is to ask you the questions that help you discover those answers. So, in a lot of ways, I tell people if you want to summarize what a coach is, I'm a professional question asker. I think that undersells a little bit about what we do, but that's what it is. So, how do I differentiate in my practice? I think when you think about executive coaching, normally you're getting hired as an executive coach probably by somebody in upper leadership, somebody in the C suite, and either you're going to come in and you're going to coach them, or they're going to hire you to come in and coach an employee. That employee might have an area that they're struggling in their work. And so you're going to coach them. If you're looking at C suite stuff, where I find my sweet spot in executive coaching is hey, my company either doesn't have any core values that we're operating by, or we have them, but we're not actually living up to them. Excuse me just a second. So a lot of companies went through a core value exercise. They put those core values in a folder. A couple people know them or they hang them on a wall, but nothing inside their business is driven by those core values. And so my job is to come in and say, okay, these are the core values that you've established. How are they guiding your business? And then help them begin to craft their business around those core values. But again, I'm not telling them what to do. I'm not coming in and saying, do this, do that. I'm coming in and saying, do you like these core values? Tell me what you like about them. If you lived in an ideal situation, how would these core values drive your business? And so they're beginning to discover the answers that they want. And so I might say, well, tell me what that would look like practically in your everyday business. And they begin to see how that's going to change. Oh, how would that change your culture around here? Is that the change you want to see? Is that the development you want to experience? And they begin to see those kind of things. So ultimately, in that place, the value you're adding is huge because if you start at the top and those values begin to work their way down, You're going to end up with more employee engagement. You're going to end up with employees who are invested. You're going to begin investing in your employees. And we know full well that when we invest in other people, the investment that they give us back is normally exponential. And so that's really where executive coaching comes into play. In life coaching, it's really not all that different. It's just instead of the corporate core values, it's what are the values that are driving your life? Maybe you know them, maybe you've identified them, maybe you've never even thought about that. And the thing is, everybody has them. And they're defining our relationships, they're defining the way we view the world, they're defining the way we engage with others. And if there's a disconnect between our actions and our values, we often end up frustrated or stuck, or we feel like I have so much more I want to offer, but I don't know how. And so by helping people walk through those values, I say it does three things. It helps them unleash their potential, it helps them ignite their passion, and it helps them awaken their purpose. And I think people who understand the potential and feel like they have a path to get there, who are driven by a passion that's coming from inside of them and feel like they have purpose, their life, they're just much more resilient as trials come, as struggles come, and they feel more fulfilled overall in what they're doing. Again, not just work, but in their marriage, in their parenting, with their kids. And so that's what I hope to be able to create as I journey alongside of these folks. Again, I'm just helping them discover what's been inside of them all along.
So it sort of reminds me of something I remember hearing some time ago, especially when you're talking about executive coaching, is that down in the trenches, the employees and stuff don't care what you know till they know that you care.
Right.
So what once executives can get to the point where instead of just dictating but caring for the people below, then I think productivity and production, everything increases a lot.
Absolutely. And the thing is, nobody wants to be the dictator, right? Like, I think sometimes we create these dichotomies, right? I don't know too many business owners who are like, man, I can't wait to walk in and tell everybody what to do today, right? But we fall into these traps. We can't see, we have blind spots that we can't see, and everyone has them. And so, as an executive coach, yeah, to help them see that. But then imagine how you would feel if you were a mid-level manager or you were a customer focused manager or employee, and your owner said, hey, we see some potential in you, we have hired a coach to help you achieve that potential. You're going to go home that day and you're going to think, wow, they really care about me. Like, they're investing in me, and you might be more apt to stick around for the long haul because you see the investment they're making in your own development, in your own growth, and you realize they see the potential you have to benefit them as a company. And so, in a lot of ways, executive coaching can be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, that reminds me like my son-in-law. He was working where he was working at. He just graduated from Bradley and he was doing engineering work. And they saw the type of work that he was doing, and they were willing to give him more education so that he can be to be better at his job and help the business in the long run too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's lots of ways that businesses can invest in their employees. Sometimes that's more education. Sometimes it's we think you have all the skills except for this one, and we want to help you develop that one skill set because we believe it's in there. Sometimes, hey, go to a conference. Like, there's lots of ways. Coaching is just one of those ways, and I think sometimes, unfortunately, it's the one that a lot of businesses don't think about, but it might be the one that has the biggest long term impact. I don't know about you, but I don't really love being told what to do all the time. Like, I'm not. That's not my personality. Um, and often, if somebody tells me what to do, if I'm not invested in it, I'm not going to go do it. But if I get to discover the answer, well, now I'm invested.
Yep.
Now I've made a commitment based on what's inside of me. Yeah, let's go do that. And it has a longer term impact.
Right, because then employer or whatever is showing you that they
Yeah,
care for you, and they will give you the tools or whatever you need to get up to that next level. It'll benefit you, but it'll benefit them also. And
yeah, yeah.
so you talk about several different types of struggles that businesses and also in life that people have. So what are some of the common ones that struggles and stuff that you see, whether it be in for executives or in life or both, a little bit of both.
Yeah, so I've done a little bit of research in this, and through that research, I found out these are three startling facts to me that kind of drive what I do. 57% of adults say they regularly wonder how to find more meaning and purpose. So there are people out there who feel like 57% of adults say, I don't, I don't have purpose or meaning to what I'm doing. When you drop that down to young adults, so this is people under 35, 6 out of 10 say they feel their lives lack purpose. And again, we might look at that and we say, okay, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, right? But that level of disengagement and lack of purpose drains $7.8 trillion from the global economy every year. Now, I don't know about you. I'm not even sure I know what 7.8 trillion looks like. Like, how many zeros are after that? But this is the cost of unrealized potential, of wasted passion, and of broken relationships. Like, I didn't look up the facts, but I'm curious how much money gets spent in divorce lawyer fees every year because we're not talking to each other, because we don't feel fulfilled in that relationship for one reason or another. And so this is the drain on the global economy. And so my goal is, can we create places where it feels safe enough to let somebody else in, to be honest about what's going on in our lives? And I'm not a counselor, right? So I'm not here to fix all of your past trauma. I don't have the schooling for that. And part of my ethics as a coach is when it comes to that, to look at you and be like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. But here's a really good friend who's a mental health professional who would love to work with you. But there are places about like how to be a good husband, how to love your wife that coaching can help with. And most importantly, it starts with you. Do we love ourselves? And what does it look like? Again, I'm going to come back that same phrase, that core value. Like, what is your core value? Who are you at the core of your being? And I believe when we can help people discover that and name that and own that and be proud of that, they can then engage in these other relationships and work in a really fulfilled way. And they bring more passion, they bring more excitement because they're doing the thing that they're passionate about, that they're excited about. And so it's just this natural thing coming out of them as opposed to this like, oh, I have to go do this thing again, right? I don't think the work actually has to change, but the way we view ourselves in that work and the way we understand what we're doing in that can have a huge impact on how we're driving that forward.
So it sort of sounds because you were talking about purpose before. We need purpose, and people need purpose in their life. Once you have purpose and you're driven by that purpose, you um, just lost the other P. There was another P I was going to bring up.
Passion?
Passion. Yes. So
Yeah.
yeah. So if you find your purpose and you really like that purpose that you are diving into, you have to have a passion for it, and that helps it motivate and keep you going.
Yeah, it lights that fire inside of you to just keep moving towards. And sometimes, like, you realize there are my actual 9 to 5 fulfills a little bit of my purpose, But my family relationships fill a huge part of my purpose. My charitable work, whether that's through finances you're giving or through time you're committing, that fills your purpose. And you realize there's all of these things that kind of holistically we have to wrap our minds around and we have to engage in as a holistic person as opposed to trying to say this one little thing is going to be the only thing that gives me purpose, or looking at our spouse and saying, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or life partner, and being like, you give me purpose. Well, that's a lot of pressure on the other person, right? Like, what if they fail? What if they don't measure up? Well, then it's their fault. Well, that's not the way life works, right? So how do we build this holistic picture of what purpose looks like and how you're really giving and serving and living into your passions?
Nice. Interesting. So you say you're not a counselor. I know that in counseling, some of us have been to counselors. There has to
Mm-hmm.
be a vulnerability that we need to open up with. So does vulnerability play any role in coaching too?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and yes, I'm not a licensed counselor, and that's one of the things we as coaches, I think we have to be really aware of. And the difference in the vulnerability is a counselor is going to look back and say, okay, tell me about this past hurt or this past trauma. And you might not know what that is, but as you talk with your counselors, they ask you questions, they're going to uncover that, and then they're going to dig into that past. We may have a very similar conversation where start talking about stuff and I might realize there's something in the past that's holding you back, that's caused you, that's formed a belief about yourself, that's formed a reaction to the way things happen. But instead of digging into the why of that, I want to bring that forward and say, I hear I hear this when you speak, or you've said this phrase 6 times. 2 days ago, or 2 weeks ago, I was meeting with a client and we were talking about work. And their statement was, I just really need a manager. I really need a manager. I mean, that was the phrase. 6 times in 15 minutes, they said, I need a manager. So I just kind of, I said, hold on, I want to ask you a question. Here's what I've heard you say 6 times. What do you need from a manager? Right? So now we're not looking at like, why'd you say that? What's going on? I'm looking forward focused at what's driving that in you. And then we can begin to unpack and explore, okay, but if they're not meeting that goal, what do you really need? And how do we move you forward into that? So yes, there is a vulnerability to it. I think that's why coaching, just like counseling, is confidential. So anything I talk about in a coaching session, I'm not going to run out and be like, "Oh my gosh, do you know what Bill said?" Like that's all confidential. That's all kept between me and you. We create that safe space, and it's all about you wanting to dig in. As a coach, I can ask you a question, and because it's client centered, you can look at me and say, "I don't want to answer that question." Okay, we don't have to. And so I'm just gonna I'll kind of say, okay, where do you want to go? And at the beginning of every session, it starts with, Bill, what's on your mind today? What would you like to talk about? And so you're setting the goal, you're setting the tone. And then my second follow-up to that is, okay, Bill, that's a great topic for us to discuss today. At the end of our time together, normally around an hour, at the end of our hour, what's success going to look like for you? What do you want to achieve? And so that way you have now dictated what we're talking about and where we're driving to. And I think often that puts a client at ease because it's not me. I'm not dictating what we're going to talk about. I'm not going to tell you what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what's on your heart and on your mind. And And sometimes in that, as with any conversation, things rabbit trail, right? I'm sure on your podcast you've had a guest or two take a rabbit trail that you're like, well, that's not where I thought we were going to go. Uh, I get to ask in the middle of that rabbit trail, Bill, we were shooting towards target X. This conversation feels like it's taking us away from that. Is this worth exploring for you? Or do you want to move back to target X? And you get to look at me and say, no, you know what? I understood target X is where I said I wanted to go, but I think this is really where I need to be today. Can we keep following this line of, and absolutely. So then I'm adjusting on the fly to what you need to talk about. Though I'm still working in the background, maybe not in session one, but in session two or three to get you to where you want to be at target X.
Well, yeah, I can understand that because a lot of times people may not know what they need or what their goal is. So it takes some conversation and they think this is what their goal is. But then as you talk and coach them, then they uncover, oh well, maybe not. Maybe this is what I need. This is what I'm looking for. So
Yeah,
that's a good point.
yeah. Very few people come in with come in with a bullseye arrow of like, boom, this is exactly where I need to go. Most people are on the target. And then as we dig in, or most people don't come in and be like, yeah, I'm not very good at this and I want to get better at it. Like, or I don't have this core value and I'd like to develop it, right? We just don't, we as humans, I don't think, um, possess that level of self awareness all the time.
That's true. That's true. So you're talking about confidentiality, and um, so I have a question for you. Can you share a breakthrough moment? I know you talked about the one person who said, "I need a manager. I need a manager," but can you share a breakthrough moment where you had it with a client? Don't give any names or anything, but just a transformation that you saw, like at the and it could have been maybe it was with one session, or it could have been through several sessions. Can you do you have any one that comes to mind you can share to give
Yeah,
our listeners some idea of how it works and what they can expect and how they can be transformed also?
yeah. So I started meeting with a client, and they wouldn't have said it at the time, but in the middle, there was just a lot of stuff going on in their life, a lot of transitions, a lot of changes, a lot of like, and that created a lot of uncertainty. So this client in particular um, had a lot of resources, had a lot of different ways they could go, but had no motivation to go any direction. And so we started exploring the maybe 3 or 4 ways they could really go. Just ask questions about, I'm going to use A, B, and C as the examples, but hey, tell me about direction A. How does that feel? What do you kind of dug into that and said, does that feel motivating to you? And they were like, actually, no, that feels horrible. And I was like, okay, let's look at option B. And so we kind of began to navigate all of those kind of options they had. And by the end of it, they were like, I'm getting emails now when they were completing tasks. Hey, just wanted you to know I did this. I'm so excited to keep moving. And so they went from this like, oh, do I want to do anything? Over the course of this took about 6 sessions, maybe 7 sessions, to be like, I know exactly what I want to do. Here's how I'm going to blend option B and C together. This is what I want to go. And now this is how I'm going to achieve my 5 year goal of where I want to be. And that's probably the biggest breakthrough I've seen. Like, and they've launched a couple of businesses. They're doing fantastic on their own, and we still stay in contact. We talk about once a month, um, and they use it now as just a like, hey, here's where I'm at. Where do I need to go? Like, kind of almost a verbal processing session for them. And then I just get to ask a lot of questions about, okay, who are you in that process? How are you really living into this purpose that you'd said you wanted to have? Um, that's the biggest one. And then there's all of these little aha moments. that happen in sessions. Often, what I'm finding, I'm still pretty new in this, right? So I've got about a year, 100 hours of coaching, not a ton of experience. Um, but a lot of people, they say things and they will, this repeated phrase thing is something that I'm really starting to catch on to. If somebody says something once, you're kind of like, okay, they said it, whatever. When it comes up that second and then third time, now my ears are listening for it. And oftentimes they don't even realize they're saying. And so when I can say, I said to another client, do you know you just used the exact same phrase to describe three different people? Where does that phrase come from? And what does that phrase mean to you? And they were like, oh my gosh, no, I had no clue I was using the same phraseology, but I meant it every time. And yeah, can we unpack that? And so we began to see, like, okay, where did this develop? How is that framing? How is where it developed from framing your relationship with every one of those people? And how do we want to frame that relationship differently? And so we began to walk through that. So yeah, those are a lot of the kind of the breakthrough moments I guess I've had and kind of where I see them coming
Oh, nice, interesting. So, well, my viewpoint, I see that the people going to be hiring you, Jason, as a coach or any coach, they're looking for some type of return on investment.
from.
What's your take on that when you're doing any coaching, whether it be for small businesses or for individual coaching? What's your take on the return of investment?
I mean, my return on investment is like at some point, do you want to keep just being the hamster on the wheel, doing the same thing, feeling the same way, unmotivated by what's going on? Or do you want to make a change? Do you want to figure out what it feels like to be passionate about what you're spending your time on? Do you understand what it means to really ignite your potential? Like, let's watch that potential take off and see what you're capable of. So I think in business, a lot of it is um, if you have fully engaged employees who are passionate about what you're doing and passionate about the way you're doing it, imagine what's possible at that point, right? Like what you once thought might have been an impossible goal for your business now feels like that goal's too small because I've got not just me invested in it. I have 10, 20, 100 employees invested in the same thing. And we're all driving, and they're driving with the same level of passion that I was driving with. I mean, that makes exponential return on investment for a business. In a personal life, I mean, like I think we all have that relationship we'd love to be able to fix, or or even I've talked a lot about the stuff that's hard, but like how many of us have great or good marriages that could be great, or we have good relationships with our kids that could be amazing, right? Like we're taking that to the next level. Coaching's not just for people who are like on the verge of divorce or feel completely disconnected. A lot of really high achieving people bring in a coach because they know the value it's going to bring. And that value is taking wherever you're at to that next level as you realize things that maybe you weren't able to see and you begin to live into who you really are. And so I think for me, that's the return on investment anyway. You're going to
Yeah.
feel like you've got purpose and excitement behind it.
So I like that because you're saying it takes you to the next level. And as I think about coaching, I'm thinking about several of the different sports I played, like tennis. And, you know, where you need a coach to take them to the next level. Maybe you need to be faster. Maybe you need to be able to hit the ball harder. Maybe you need to get your serves better. Maybe you need a better backhand, a better forehand. But you don't fix it all at once. You just fix one thing and go to the next, like you said, the next level. And then once you reach
Hmm.
there, go to the next level. And then
Yeah.
as you continually do that, your return on investment is growing and growing every step of the way.
Hmm. Yeah. I often like to think about coaching as a journey. Um, I get to walk alongside of my clients to help them discover where they're headed next. I'm not there to be the trail guide. I'm not the one out front leading the discussion. I'm walking side by side with you on this journey of life to help you reach your highest potential.
Right, and you mentioned something earlier. You asked people what does success look to you. So they are
Mm-hmm.
driving what that success is, and then you're just helping them to get to the next level, the next level, next level to reach the success that they want to achieve, not what you want to achieve for them.
Yeah, and the beauty of that is I don't have to be an expert in your field.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know a whole lot about hosting a podcast, Bill, but a coaching relationship that comes alongside, I don't have to know about podcasting. I have to listen to who Bill is and what Bill wants. And then I get to ask questions to help you get to where you want to get to. And that's what's fun about it is I guess for me, there's no like it's so client driven. I don't walk into every call with like, okay, here are the 20 questions I'm going to ask this client today, either in person or online. No, I walk in ready to hear what you want to talk about and and really honing those listening skills so that I ask you the right question.
So I was thinking a little bit like return of investment because for my business, I try to help businesses understand how they can use AI and automation to go to the
Mm-hmm.
next step to increase them. And it's not is not to replace employees, but it's a tool that will help them to get more engaged, to get more information, to be able to do what they're doing better. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I know, like a long time ago, and I don't know if it's illegal anymore, but in tennis, they used to have these little things that they put on the strings to help enlarge the sweet spot so you can hit the ball more. And I try to help businesses to understand AI isn't there to replace employees, but to to help you to fill in the gaps and to be more successful in your business. And even employees, as they get to use it, it, they can help them to spur ideas, to spur information of what they can do. They may may have taken them 2 weeks to figure it out, but with AI, you can figure it out sooner, and then you can get on the bandwagon and start getting things done more productively.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So in a lot of ways, I mean, I do. In some ways, I'm the one that asks the questions. When we ask AI the question, it gives you the answer.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, AI is a great consultant because it's going to tell you what to do. A coach is going to help you discover what to do. And there's a personal touch to that too that I really enjoy, and I think really matters. So
So, for our listeners here, someone who's listening, if they're curious but are unsure if coaching is for them, where do they start, or what words do you can you give to them to say
yeah,
coaching is something they should pursue, or finding a coach for them?
yeah. I mean, I think for me, I can't speak to every coach out there, but you can do a pretty quick search online. Executive coach, life coach. You'll get a long list of people on Google who do this. Much like a counselor, much like a school teacher or a tennis coach, like you were talking about, we have people who we naturally connect with and others who we don't feel that natural connection with. But that connection matters in a coaching relationship. Like you need to find somebody who you're like, oh yeah, I feel comfortable there. Most coaches offer, I guess I shouldn't speak for everybody. I offer a free discovery call. So if you were interested in scheduling a coaching session with me, jasonrotoncoaching.com, you get right to my Calendly and you can schedule a one-time call. So it can be in person. You can pick in person or online. I've got a few options for where we can meet in person, or you can suggest wherever you feel comfortable. But in that discovery call, I'm going to ask you what you think coaching is, to kind of hear what ideas you're bringing into this relationship before we ever talk about anything else. Uh, and then I'm going to either affirm your answers or say, well, this is how I handle those situations, and talk a little bit about what coaching is. Um, and then we're going to dive into just a little bit of like, why did you reach out? What is it you want to talk about? How can I help? And in that, I've got to know enough about myself to know, can I help you or can I not? Now, it's hard, right? Especially when you're starting business. You don't want to be like, well, thanks for reaching out, but this coach is going to be better at doing what you need than I am. But that's part of the integrity of the relationship. That's how you build trust. And so I'm going to listen and say, I don't, I don't think that's something I can help you with. Um, but here's a coach I know who I think would be fantastic for what you're looking for. So I have to know a few other coaches, consultants in the area. Some people come to coaching wanting a consultant. They want somebody to tell them what to do. And so in some ways you can massage that. I ask, do you want do you want me to tell you what to do? Or would you rather discover what you need to do yourself? Well, I suppose if I could discover it, okay, then I can work. If somebody's like, no, I just want somebody to come in and tell us how to run our business or how to fix this thing, I have to look at them and say, it's not me. But that's the way I would say, reach out to a coach that you know. If you don't know one, would love to meet with you. Um, and see if they offer free, I call them discovery calls. Most coaches call them discovery calls. And so you get to discover, is this going to be healthy for you or not? And then I offer different packages all the way along. So I've got a real short one, which is kind of like, check it out, see if it works, and then you can sign up for another package, a longer package later than that. Um, but that's the way I do it. That's the way I help people figure out if this is right for them.
So I guess one of the key things I hear is if you if a listeners out there they're thinking about a coach, contact them and see if they have a discovery call so you can see if you can work with
Yeah,
if they can work with you, if it's going to be a good synergistic type of relationship that'll benefit you.
absolutely. And most coaches will say something about that on the website. So if you're one of those people who's like, I don't really want to make a phone call, you can find it on most of our websites. It'll tell you if the discovery call is free or
All right. So if people want, well, before we get to that, is there anything else that you want to talk about? I know that there's a couple other things that you're working in the behind the scenes and all. Do you want to let our listeners know about what they are?
not. Absolutely. So one of the things I'm really passionate about right now, and we've got a fall session getting ready to kick off, is a 5-week workshop that I created with another coach, um, called Discovering Your VIP. And one of the things I have seen, and I think if you work with teenagers at all, 19 of my 22 years was spent in youth ministry. So I spent a lot of time with high school students. And to be quite honest, I love high school students. They're so fun, so interactive. Um, anyway, I could go on a tangent there. But the rise in anxiety and stress in our high school students, and depression, often centered around the question, what are you going to do after high school? Is off the charts. And unfortunately, we as adults aren't giving them a lot of resources to help them understand what they're going to do after high school, right? Go to college. Okay, where? I don't know. I like the clock tower at this college, so I guess I'll go there. Next thing you know, they're there for, the average student takes 6 years to get a 4-year degree. Now that's startling, but what's even more startling is when you realize that probably half the kids who are going into college right now are taking at least a semester of college credit with them that they've taken in dual credit classes in high school. So what should be able to be completed in 3.5 years is taking 6. And it's because we're not preparing them. I don't blame the kids, and we're putting a lot of stress on schools right now. My wife's a public school teacher, so please, if you're listening to this, I love the school systems. I love what you guys are doing. And I just want to come in along as a supplement. And so we've created this workshop that in session 1, we help kids and parents, if parents come to the workshop with them, which we highly encourage one parent and one student of each family to be there, talk about what's success look like for you? What will success mean for you at 25, at 35, and at 65? And so we give kids a place to dream. And we ask a lot of questions around that about not just financial success, but holistic success. At the end of that, we give them a homework assignment. This is the biggest homework assignment of the 5-week workshop. They're going to take 19 cognitive assessments that are going to, right, yeah, I know, that are going to test how their brain processes information. Often when we give a kid an assessment in high school, and we do this with personality tests all the time, I've taken probably every personality test there is. Do you like this? Do you not like this? Are you good at this? Are you not good at this? In this situation, how do you respond, right? It's all subjective. And even at 47 years of age, I still answer a lot of those questions kind of aspirationally, right? Like I'm a little more confident in myself now, but I think kids answer those questions super aspirationally. These questions are, can your brain do this math or not? And there's scientific data to show us, to evaluate the results to say that it can. Now, if you can't, that doesn't mean you're a failure or there's no hope for you. It probably means that this assessment of the 19 was super easy for you. And maybe the one that was easy for you was somebody else's least favorite. But we compile all that data and then it goes to the ONET, which is the federal government's job board. It tells you what jobs top 50 jobs you'd be best wired for, where you can get education, what education you need for that job, how much you can expect to pay for it, what your median income will be when you graduate with that education, and is that job on the rise or the decline in your zip code. And you can change the zip code. So if you live in Illinois, but you're like, I want to go to college in Florida. Okay, type in a Florida zip code. It'll tell you where you can get all that and what those career fields look like there. So it gives them a lot of choices. The thing I find out about this, most of us can't name 50 careers. So kids don't even know what's available. My son took it, and one of his top careers that he's really interested in was a 2-year degree with a median income of $95,000 a year. I'm sorry, what? I don't have to go in $250,000 worth of debt to send my kid to a 4-year school? No, there are these opportunities out there that we don't even know about. So after they did that, we filter those answers down to an interest survey in session 3. Talk about what you're interested in, how that ties to your goals, and how that ties to this. Session 4 is all about discovering their core values. I figure if we can get kids talking about core values, those are things that aren't probably going to change much in life. They're going to define their career trajectory. So how does your definition of success, how do your career options, how do your interests all inform your core values? And last session, this is based off of data out of the Fuller Youth Institute in California, where they did a survey of 35-year-old adults who were thriving in life. And every one of them had 5 adults outside of their parents who were investing in them and who were walking this journey with them. And so our goal is to help students identify who those 5 adults are and understand why those 5 adults matter. Because we live in an isolated society. And so if we can begin to expand that and help them realize those adults are already there. Almost every kid has somebody they can look at, an aunt, an uncle, a coach, a teacher. What would it look like to really invite them in and ask them to walk alongside of you? And so that's that workshop. Super excited about it. We have one kicking off October the 15th. at Willow Hill United Methodist Church. You can find out all the registration information and everything on my website. You can sign up, and that's jasonrotoncoaching.com. Last name is Roton, as in Nancy. Would love to see you there. The other thing I'm working on is just really a project of love, um, but also a project that I think in our society. Well, Bill, let me ask you a question. Is there anybody in your life right now who, if you were going to sit around a dinner table, you're not going to bring up politics because you know the conversation is not going to go well?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yep. And and sometimes it's not just politics. It's faith, it's church, it's some kind of social issue, and we just avoid those conversations altogether.
Yep.
I think that's a new phenomenon. And what I hope to do through this initiative we're calling Hops and Hope is help people re engage in public discourse and realize that, Bill, if you hold opinion A and I hold opinion B, we don't have to hate each other. We can actually learn from each other. You and opinion A, I might not ever agree with. That doesn't mean I don't like Bill. It doesn't mean I can't learn from Bill. It doesn't mean Bill doesn't have something to teach me. And so, what does it look like to create a space where we can actually talk about, learn from, and learn to listen and listen with empathy to grow in our knowledge and our understanding of life and each other? So, we're calling that Hops and Hope. Kicks off on Monday night, September the 8th. So, just a couple of days away. Super excited about it. It's totally free to attend. It's Hops and Hope because we're meeting at Evergreen Farm Brewing in Metamora, Illinois. And we're going to sit, as long as the weather holds out and is nice, we're going to sit around the outdoor bar and we're going to have these public forums where we talk about hot topics. The questions on the agenda. So I put a poll up, well, kind of a poll. I put a social media post up on Tuesday every week, and then people can just respond with the icon that is next to the topic in the comments, and the most icons for one topic wins. So this week's three options are: um, should parents be allowed to determine curriculum inside the schools for all children based on their beliefs? Uh, One on the environment, on environmental policies and economic impact of that. So, is the environment more important than your paycheck, or your paycheck more important than the environment? So, we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. And then the third one is faith losing? How does that question get asked? Is faith losing credibility because it won't engage with science, or something along that? So kind of that faith science debate. So people are out there voting right now. If it's not Friday at noon, you're welcome to vote on that. But next week there'll be three more topics up there because we'll do this every Tuesday to Friday, and then the sessions are always on Monday nights from 7 to 8:30. Come check us out. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. This sounds really interesting. So going back to your VIP workshop, I find that interesting because I know like it made me reflect back to when I was in high school and I was academic prone. I was the oldest in my family. Um, I had good grades and everything. I wanted to go to college, but
Mhm.
I didn't have, like you said, five people. I didn't have one person that would help me to get me on that path. So I
Mhm.
took one of those personality tests and said, okay, well, in engineer, I could probably do pretty good in engineering. I said, fine, but I didn't know where to go, so I'm going to join the service. Service had me take a test. Well, I could take whatever I wanted. I said, all right, I want to become an engineer. Well, let's go. Next class openings in 4 months. I said, no, I got to get out here sooner. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I went to a different career path. Um, Never did get back into engineer, but when I was in the service, I did get interested in this new career field called computer programming. So that gives you a little bit of age of how I am. And but it took me a while before I finally got into the IT world. But I didn't know, and I didn't have the tools back then of knowing what do I want to do in life, where do I want to go, and I think this would be very valuable for not only for the students but also for the parents to help to to journey along with their children to find out what is it that they are passionate about, what is it that they want to fulfill in life, at least at this time, and
Yep.
try to help them, give them the tools to start that journey.
Yeah, and really the approach we're taking is instead of asking kids what's next, I want to begin asking them, who are you? And how does who you are define what your future is going to look like? Because
Okay.
when we, again, back to that same coaching stuff, right? When we understand our purpose, we understand who we are, we're going to be way more passionate in our pursuit of that. And so sometimes I think that question of what's next is in a lot of ways the wrong question. I understand why we ask it. It's the cultural norm to ask it. But the really powerful question is, what are you great at? What do you love to do? How do you see yourself? And begin to explore some of that stuff, which we get to in all of those interests and core values and other adults pouring in. You find those pieces, and then yeah, it informs some of those career choices. It narrows down those 50 into like, no, this really is going to hit it, who I am and what I want to do. So that's our approach. Hopefully it's helpful, and I'm excited to see it. We've done one pilot, had really good feedback. Had a college professor bring his son, so that felt good. The Bradley College professor was there. His statement to me was, "I wish the freshmen in my college courses came in as prepared as you've prepared these kids." And I was like, "Well, that's pretty high praise from somebody who works in this every week." So
Well, yeah, and I agree because I think a lot of times kids when they're in high school, they don't know what the next step is. People are telling them this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. But is it really what they want to do? Is it really what they are gifted in and they have a drive to do? And so they go down a wrong path for a while until they're finally able to pivot and make the choice of where they want to go themselves. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
very cool.
absolutely.
Well, thank you for all that, Jason. So, if people want to contact you, what's the best way for them to contact you? Is it website, email, Facebook, Instagram? What is their best way that they can contact you?
Yeah, so I'm on all of those platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and my website. It's all Jason Roton Coaching. So find me on Jason Roton Coaching on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Uh, my website, jasonrotoncoaching.com. You can send me a direct message through the website, and you can also email me, jasonrotoncoaching@gmail.com. So you can get in contact with me any of those ways. Would love to talk with you and see what that would look like.
Okay, listeners, you hear it. Jason Roton Coaching. That's all you need to know. Go on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Gmail. That's all you need. Awesome. Well, that's going to wrap us up here, Jason. So I just want to thank you for joining us today on the Buzz on Biz. Um, so, people, Jason Roden here reminded us that growth isn't reserved just for executives and leadership, isn't defined by your title. Whether you're looking to level up your business, your mindset, or your sense of yourself, coaching can be a powerful catalyst. If Jason's message resonated with you, be sure to check out his work and take that next step towards deeper, more meaningful growth. And that's at jasonrotoncoaching.com, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, any place else. So
Any
thank you
place
very
else.
much, Jason. Really enjoyed hearing about you and learning more about coaching and how coaching can benefit us personally and even employment wise.
Bill, I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and share and provide some education for your listeners, but then also, yeah, hopefully get some leads on my business as well. So thank you. It means a lot to be invited in. Appreciate what you're doing.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, everyone. Until next time, keep your biz growing. Thanks for tuning in to the Buzz on Biz podcast. We hope you enjoyed learning about another incredible local business making a difference. This podcast is brought to you by To Grow My Biz, where we help small businesses grow smarter using automation and AI. If you're a small business owner looking to save time, generate more leads, or stop losing leads, and want to serve your customers better, we're here to help. So visit togrowmibiz.com/call-bill to schedule a quick call and let's talk. Or you can check out our tools and services at togrowmibiz.com and our AI site, ai.togrowmibiz.com. We'd love to help you grow. Let's talk soon, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Buzz on Biz.